SiriusXM. It's time for Weird Medicine with Dr. Steve. Weird Medicine.
I've got diphtheria crushing my esophagus. I've got Ebola virus dripping from my nose. I've got the leprosy of the heart valve, exacerbating my incredible woes. I want to take my brain out and blast it with the wave, an ultrasonic echographic and a pulsating shave. I want a magic pill for all my ailments, the health equivalent of Citizen Kane. And if I don't get it now in a tablet, I think I'm doomed and I'll have to go insane. I want a requiem for my disease, so I'm paging Dr. Steve. Dr. Steve.
Take the countful. Do the vertebrae. I need some suction in the carotid. I'll bring the crash car and do the kung fu with the shot pack. Dr. Steve.
From Nashville, Tennessee, where our meth lab jobs have all been outsourced to Mexico, it's Weird Medicine, the first and still only uncensored medical show in the history of radio. I'm Dr. Steve with my little pal P.A. John. Hello, John.
Hello.
And I have, thank you, that was John's ass talking. I have with me in the studio Jefferson the liar, the shyster, the guy who someday is going to make Dr. K a very rich woman. Hello, Jefferson.
Hey.
We also have double vasectomy Todd, also known as addictomy Todd, the master barber with multiple penis tattoos on his arm.
How we doing?
And GVAC, the man whose ass was attacked by his own stool.
Good evening.
And in the studio audience, Ashley, the girl whose name is Ashley. This is a show for people who would never listen to a medical show on the radio. If you have a question you're embarrassed to take to your regular medical provider, or if you just can't find an answer anywhere else, give us a call at 347-766-4323. That's 347-POO-HEAD. Visit our website at checkyourstupidnutsforlumps.com for podcast, medical news, and stuff you can buy I can't mention contractually. Most importantly, we are not your medical providers. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Don't act on anything you hear on this show without talking it over with your doctor, nurse practitioner, physician's assistant, pharmacist, chiropractor, barber, acupuncturist, cosmetologist, yoga master, or whatever. So it's been a while since we've been together. I was, so to speak, I was on vacation and went to Charleston and went out with Captain Mike Illig again at avidangling.com.
Cool.
And my kids, at the very last cast, we caught some damn thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where the pole doesn't just jerk. You hear that like on River Monsters, and you yell, "Fish on!" And this damn stingray was 11 feet long, and it dragged our boat. Because they have so much hydrodynamics that they can just dive to the bottom. You know, their whole body is just muscle, and it's very hydrodynamic, so they just suck to the bottom. And we'd get it up to the boat, and then it would take off again down to the bottom. And that stupid thing dragged us about 600 yards.
Wow. Whoa.
And he had to cut the anchor loose and put a float on it, and so that we could keep up with this thing, because it was going to break something, you know, if we didn't take a little bit of the tension off. So instead of dragging it to us, we had to go to it.
Man, so you just tire it out over time?
And then, yes, that's all you can do is just tire it out. And it took 45 minutes to get that thing up.
Wow.
And by the time we got it up, and we were just getting ready to cut it loose, because, you know, you're not going to keep a 11-foot stingray. And we practice catch and release anyway. Just as we were going to cut it loose, it broke the hook. And this hook, I'm not kidding you, was it was steel, and it was as thick as a coat hanger. I mean, you couldn't bend it with 2 pliers.
Whoa.
You know, it was just amazing. So Captain Mike put us on the big fish again.
That is so cool.
If you're ever going to Charleston, check out avidangling.com. We don't get anything in return except for fun. So, but he's a really cool guy, and check him out on TripAdvisor too. The other thing I got, I almost lost my finger because we went crabbing, and the the guy that we went with was like, here, because I've gone crabbing my whole life, and you just grab them from behind, and if you grab them from behind their genitalia, they can't get you, right? And he's like, oh no, do it this way, and he grabs one, pincher style, one claw with one hand and one claw with the other. So now you're carrying this thing with two hands. Well, that doesn't leave any hands free.
Right.
But now I'm stuck. I've got this frigging thing in my hands, and I've got a beer can between my legs, and I'm trying to walk. And I didn't want to drop the beer can because I only had a couple of them, and it was, So I said, I'm just going to shift and grab it from behind. Well, as soon as I let go with the one hand to shift, that fucking thing reached over and just right into my finger. And then I let go with the other one, and then it grabbed that one too. So now instead of me holding it by two hands, it's holding me by two fingers and just chewing the crap out of my finger. Totally got infected. Had to go and get antibiotics. I got amoxicillin clavulanate. If you don't know what that is, it's also called Augmentin. And of course, I made the mistake of Googling things that you can get from a crab pincher. And there's this disease or bacterium called Mycobacterium marinum, which causes like tuberculosis of the hands. And of course I was convinced I had that.
Of course.
But when I took the Augmentin, it started to go away. So, but if you look at that, I mean, that's where the skin just peeled off.
That's pretty nasty.
So, yeah, it's pretty nasty. The finger was twice the size of the other one. It hurt like an MF or two. So.
Wow.
Anyway, but it was a great trip.
Did you get any pain meds?
No, I didn't really. I took some ibuprofen, which really worked better than anything.
Well, good.
So, anyway. What have we got? Okay, let's see here. That we have this. I always say we don't have fans, we have listeners, but we do have one fan, and his name is Trevor W. from Ontario, and he is obsessed with all of my stupid vocal crutches and stuff. He's the guy that did.
That's awesome.
Oh, nice.
Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, he did this. Your perfect testicles. And if that isn't treated, you have a colon is a rubbery. Anyway, I don't have to play the whole thing. It's on our website. Just go to checkyourstupidnutsforlumps.com and just scroll back until you see Trevor W.'s Aw song. Well, he was quiet for a while and then got this crazy burst of creativity. And a couple of these, one of them drives me crazy, and one of them is so painful to listen to that I'm not going to play the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
And then there's another one that shows, well, I'll play them anyway. So here's the first one. This is just me using big words. This guy has alcoholic neuropathies. These are most likely clogged sebaceous glands. They may very well be perirectal abscesses. There's a syndrome called vestibulitis. There is such a thing as post-episiotomy pain, what's called an invagination. I've had a stage 2 spondylolisthesis of the back, which is a subluxation, especially if the panniculus, which is what that's called, is not too huge. A condition called vaginismus. Vaginismus is spasm of the pubococcygeus. A zebra spilled its plastinium on Bemis. I also have this. I have a thing called posterior uveitis. Acromegaly causes a lot of sweating and other symptoms like that, and coarsening of the you have a features, vitreous detachment. This is just a test that you can do. It's called a Bordetella DFA, or direct fluorescent antibody, which is just a nasal swab. Having said that, there is a thing called scrotal calcinosis, which are hard, lumps in the scrotum called electromyogram and a nerve conduction velocity, which basically you stick needles in the nerve. So he has a thing called white coat hypertension. Distal side, away from the brain. Clonazepam, capsaicin, vitreous, benzodiazepine, vitreous humor removed. Substance P pushes all the fluid out. Habituation, clogged sebaceous, alcoholic neuropathy. Clonazepam, fluid that flows. Vestibulitis.
Well done. Well done. Beautiful.
That is awesome.
So
they should use that every first day of medical school for every med school around the country.
of course, what he leaves out is when we do use jargon like that, we always explain it, but that is pretty damn fun.
That is hilarious. That is awesome.
Dr. Steve's big words.
Perfect.
So
That's great.
he's got one. Oh, here's just a little one that he did. Remember that story we did about that Japanese guy that
Right.
served up his genitals to people? He just made a quick edit to make it sound a little different.
Put it on. It comes out hot.
Whoops,
It
wait a
cools
minute.
down.
Wrong one. Hey, it's your old pal, Dr. Steve. And I am offering my male genitals, full penis, testes, and scrotum as a meal for 100,000 yen. So anyway. Son of a bitch.
Great.
That's really good.
Now, this next one is an experiment that he did where he takes... By the way, we're having a hell of a storm here, so... if you
Lightning doesn't come through headphones.
No, hell no. No, but if the power goes out, you're going to hear an edit in the middle of this. So, it'll save what we've done so far, but we'll have to start from wherever. But if you hear thunder in the background, it's not sound effects. That's the real deal. So this one, he takes all of my vocal crutches and removes them. And so the first thing you'll hear is an explanation. And what I think I'm doing is I'm always trying to search for exactly the right word because I don't want to screw somebody up.
Right.
And I don't want to say something stupid because I'm always imagining there's doctors out there listening that are screaming at the radio what an idiot I am. So I choose my words very carefully. And especially if I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the topic, if I don't have it nailed, ask me something about morphine, and I won't use any vocal crutches whatsoever. But anyway, I think that's part of what's going on. And besides, I'm just a vocal crutch laden ass. And so the first one you'll hear is the normal explanation, and then he takes out all the vocal crutches, and then you can hear it's about half the length too, which is really sad. Here we go. Yeah, I think everything is genetic ultimately, and if you are sensitive to certain substances like salt, sodium chloride, it may be a genetic predisposition to being sensitive to that.
Right.
And it turns out that people of African Americans or people of African descent do better with diuretics first off than people of Caucasian European descent. Okay, so that's the first one. Now this is the
Edited
yeah,
version.
I think everything is genetic ultimately. If you are sensitive to certain substances like salt, sodium chloride, it may be a genetic predisposition to being sensitive to that.
Right.
And it turns out that African Americans or people of African descent do better with diuretics first off than people of Caucasian European descent. So, I
Holy cow!
almost sound intelligent on the second one. The first one, I sound like a burbling idiot.
Yeah, the second one's a show I could probably listen to.
I know.
We need to hire this guy.
I wonder how you get rid of that stuff, because I didn't always do that. I've listened to my radio show from when I was in college, and I didn't have those.
Yeah, but you weren't talking medical in
That's
college.
right. I'm so carefully parsing my words that I'm throwing that stuff out there. And, of course, now I'm calling attention to it so everyone will notice it.
Well, but I think whenever you're talking medicine, I do it in the office when I'm seeing patients. You want to make sure that you're using the right words so that they can understand it.
Right.
And, you don't want to say
I just wish
wrong thing.
My brain worked a little faster so that it could keep up with all. Because that's right. When I'm coming up with one of these words, there may be 10 words on my list. You remember in Terminator?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When he got the little readout. And
when the guy's knocking at the door and all those phrases would come up and it's like, fuck you, asshole, was the correct one. That's what's going on in my head. I may have 10 words and I'm scanning that list trying to pick the right one. And unfortunately, when that's going on, my brain tells my vocal cords to go, and so... or one of those stupid vocal crutches.
But it's also not just that. You're also looking into what we're doing next, running the computer, how much time we have left,
and
what else we have to do.
I'm no Greg Opie Hughes, that's for sure. Right. That fucking guy, I don't know how he does it. But you've all been in the studio with him.
Yeah.
And he has 3 arms.
He has 3 arms. I think he's working some of the controls with his erect penis, I think, because he's scanning instant feedback. He's looking at the phone calls. He's prioritizing them in his head. He's keeping up with the conversation. He's got all the levels. He's got CDs, and he's got computer-generated audio. He's got the delete, the sound effects machine, and all that kind of stuff. It's unbelievable.
And he's having a conversation with 3 or 4 people.
Right. And successfully pulling it off.
Yeah. It's amazing.
You know who else is good at that? And I hate to give him any compliment whatsoever, but Brian from RadioFreaks.tv. If you ever listen to his show, what you don't realize is that he is also tweeting and he's talking to people in the chat room while he's talking to people.
Man.
And he'll have conversations with people while he's doing his show. And he's talking and typing and having a conversation in a chat room at the same time, and then putting up pictures and stuff. He's really good at it.
Yeah.
So check out Brian at RadioFreaks.tv. He and John do a pretty good show. So.
Yeah, he's a good fellow.
All right. Don't forget our podcast at riotcast.com. We were, over the vacation, we hit number 1 in new and noteworthy on iTunes multiple times. Thank you all for listening to the podcast and to subscribing on iTunes and giving us a rating. So we really appreciate that. Last time, and then we'll go do some questions, we did run Big Joe's monthly visit. It was very successful, I think. And she will be back monthly.
Awesome.
Hence the name. While she was gone, she went on vacation with us, and I was really hoping, as I always have my cell phone with me, and anytime she says something stupid, I don't want to say stupid, but every time she does a Big Joe-ism, I pull out my phone and say, that one's going in the book, right? Uh-huh. And I started tweeting out crap Big Joe says, because I'm not any more original than that. It's kind of... patterned after shit my dad says, which that turned out to be, from what I understand, that guy was making it up. But the stuff that I put under crap Big Joe says, she really says.
I've met Big Joe.
And
she says it.
She only said 3 things worth repeating when on vacation, which was a record for her, because usually she'll say 3 things in a half hour. But we were in this fancy restaurant called Atlanticville, and it's a really nice place in Sullivan's Island, South Carolina. It's in an old house, and it's beautiful inside, and the food is 4 stars as far as I'm concerned. And she was feeling like she had to be kind of fancy. And so we all ordered something to drink, and she said, I don't know how funny this one is, but she just looked at her and said, I'll have me a glass of Behringer. I think she thought
that was top notch.
Number 1, the Behringer is top notch, and that Behringer was some sort of wine that they would understand. They just looked at her and went, "What?" She said, "Yep, I'll have me a glass of that Behringer."
Oh God!
And I just said, "Just bring her the house red. She'll be fine." And they were like, "Okay." So anyway, have me a glass of Behringer.
Trying to name it.
And
that's hilarious.
See if you can guess what this one is. So we were watching Netflix. I hooked up my computer to the HDMI at the house, had a nice flat screen TV, and we were watching Netflix. She said, "Let's watch that Abbey Road show."
Abbey.
Got any clue?
Abbey Road.
Downton Abbey. It's that show Downton Abbey, anyway, and she called it Abbey Road the whole time we were there. Oh my God. All right, so that one's, they can't all be gems. This one is a gem. When we came home, she came home early because her dog got sick, and so when we came home, and look, she's a great mother-in-law. She had made dinner for us, and it was lasagna. And so we were eating. I said, boy, this sure is good. She said, yep, I made that lasagna with that retardo cheese. Absolutely serious. She thinks ricotta cheese is retardo cheese. So,
and now so do I.
Yeah. Well, and she calls Velveeta Valdita, too. Go get me some of that Valdita and some Valdalia onions and some of that retardo cheese. So anyway, there's some Big Joe stuff. So she will be back. She's worried her church is going to find out about it, and you know what? Sure. So am I.
Yeah.
So
right.
I definitely understand that. So I'll keep the topics. She can be funny without us having to bring gross stuff in. So I have to protect her a little bit. So we'll have to come up with some stuff like that. Anyway, so good old Big Joe. She's a getter. All right. See. Here's the thing. I hate Windows 7. We got a new computer for the studio. You used to be able to take all your files and arrange them any way you wanted to. So I had all the audio files arranged in a certain way, and that's a feature that they have removed. The new feature is that you can no longer do that.
Yeah.
And I love it when they fuck something up and then call it a feature. Anyway, so I can't find... Oh, here it is. Okay.
Number one thing, don't take advice from some asshole on the radio.
All right. So are you ready to answer some questions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Answer your phone, you fucking hick quack. Fuck off.
Okay. The reason I play this is because every week we get calls where people are think that we're live, and they call the voicemail line, and they're going, hello? Hello? Dr. Steve? Is anybody there? And then they hang up. When you call 347 Poohhead, that is, we're not live. This is a pre-recorded show. Now, when we're live, it'll say live on your pad data. So I just want everybody to know, because I don't want anybody to get upset. Just when you call, you're leaving a voicemail message, and I'll usually, if you call on your cell phone, I'll text you back. Mm-hmm. There's 400 people who are right now who are yelling at the radio, no, you don't ever text back, because I'm 400 phone calls behind, and I may have to just trash those because I just can't do it. So if you had a burning question that you called our voicemail line with and I have not gotten back to you, it's either because your phone number is blocked or I'm behind. So just call again, and I'll try it again. Now that we're back from vacation, I'll try to stay up on it. All right.
Hey, Dr. Nerd. I was just listening to the replay Sunday morning. You were talking to some top-secret government worker who couldn't let work know that, that he was depressed because...
Do you guys remember that call?
Yes.
Okay, so it was a guy that had security clearance, and he was depressed, and he was self-medicating because he was afraid to go to... the doctor and be diagnosed with a mental illness. He was afraid he'd lose his job. Mm-hmm. And we got a bunch of phone calls about this. And, we talked about, would you rather have someone who is depressed and self-medicating working for you and hiding the fact that they're depressed, or someone who is properly treated working for you? And I'll take the properly treated person every time. But anyway.
State secrets or whatever the fuck. And he was on 2 drugs, Vibrad and Nucenta, or whatever the hell they're called. But and you missed his point entirely, because he mentioned...
Which is not unusual, by the way. I really admit that. Often miss the point entirely.
3 times during his long-winded explanation that the reason that he's switching from drug to drug is because he can't have any beer anymore. He said one was working for him, except he's a social drinker and he likes to party, and he doesn't want any. He doesn't want to be able to give up the booze even if the drug's fucking working for him. So now he's taking a couple that can interact with each other possibly or whatever, and his options he's running out of options because he's a social drinker. Give up the booze, man. Get rid of your depression. It's not going to last forever. Then go back to your partying ways. Fucking, you can't have it both ways. Well, my dick doesn't work anymore because of the antidepressants, but I got to have my beer. One or the other, pal. Anyway, Dr. Steve, love the show. Calling from Canada. My nuts are fine. My ass ain't so great, though, but what are you going to do?
I don't know, dude. I don't know if I completely agree with him, but I think we probably did miss the point. That guy may have a substance abuse problem. And that may be something that would affect his security clearance. But again, would you rather have someone who is in recovery, who is seeking treatment for their substance abuse problem, or someone who's got the problem but hiding it? So, and alcohol is one of those things, you can test for cocaine and you can test for marijuana and stuff like that. And some companies have a zero tolerance policy.
Honestly, I'd rather have neither one.
Yeah, but the alcohol is legal substance. If you detect it in someone's bloodstream, unless it's above the legal limit and they're driving, there isn't anything you can do about it. But alcoholism is a problem. So I don't know if that was his problem or not. It was a pre-recorded call, as I recall. And so it's hard to say. But, people will sometimes, when they have mental illnesses and are not seeking treatment, they will sometimes treat themselves with alcohol or other substances, and it's usually not very successful, and it's always a good thing not to abuse other substances. It's better to just seek treatment if you can.
Well, now, alcohol being a depressant, I don't understand mental illness. That's not something I know much of at all, but could large amounts of alcohol onset depression or worsen a case of depression?
Yes.
In other words, could he be contributing to the problem instead of medicating the problem?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the crash after the euphoria, too, can make your depression worse. So,
okay.
Yeah. It's not helping. That's for sure. I wonder if I set up the auto screening, and we're just going to talk to this person. I have the call screening software is not set up properly, and that's my fault. And I can't talk to him. Okay, never mind. All right.
Thanks for holding.
Yeah, thanks for holding. I think I just dropped him. Oh, well.
Hey, Dr. Steve. I was wondering why UFC fighters have weird ears. Supposedly it's called cauliflower ear. What causes that? Thank you.
You want to take this one?
I don't have a great answer. I have a suspected answer.
Getting the hell beat out of them.
It's getting punched in the ear.
A lot of them are wrestlers, and if they put the ear to the mat, it will damage the cartilage, and then it's just scar tissue forming from the cartilage.
Or a blow to the ear. And what it causes is it's bleeding, and it's bleeding between the cartilage and the layer over the cartilage called the perichondrium. Okay, there's another one for Trevor W. But the layer over the cartilage is called perichondrium, and you can bleed between the cartilage and that layer. And when that happens, it separates the two layers. Now what's the body supposed to do? So it tries to leach the blood out best it can, but it can never completely do that without some scar tissue being set up and also calcium deposits being set up. So it's basically a hematoma of the ear, of the cartilage, and then what's left is a big sort of enlarged fibrous area. Do that enough times and you end up with a big giant deformed ear. And so that's cauliflower ear. So I was throwing that one to you since you're the orthopod or the sports medicine dude. I thought you might have something with that. But
we don't deal with wrestling ears.
Okay. Well,
if they break their arm.
What is it when you get a bleed between the bone and the periosteum, or the lining over the bone? Are you familiar with that at all, Mr. Orthopedics?
Well, you would more than likely tear the periosteum and it would just bleed. It'd be a broken bone.
Okay.
I don't know why it would bleed between the periosteum and the bone.
Well, I've seen that, and you end up with a lump there, and you get a calcium deposit there. So
yeah, you can have heterotopic ossification that occurs outside of the outside of the bone.
You about to get you on clip.
Heterotopic ossification.
That's just bone growth outside of where it's supposed to be, like in the soft tissue. But I'm not familiar with any bleeding between the periosteum and the bone.
All right. Got another question about the security.
I'm listening right now to this gentleman who has the problem with the depression, and I work in human resources for a certain Air Force base, and seeing a psychiatrist will not get you unfit, not even if you're in the Air Force, Army, anything like that. My number is...
Well, okay, he's going to give out his number, but so that's more reassurance for that guy.
Yeah.
That this is a guy in human resources for the Air Force. Now, the CIA or wherever that guy was working for may be different, but he should be able to anonymously call his human resources and say, hey, is it going to affect my security clearance if I seek treatment for my depression?
Sure.
All right. Let's see here. I've got a addictomy Todd question.
Oh.
Hey, Dr. Steve. I was just wondering, I normally shave my head completely bald, but if I let it grow out a little bit, I get red splotches on there. It itches, and it also has been told that it'll dry out like dandruff and then stink, which is why I keep my head shaved and put Nutrigel or something like that on there. When I do that, it burns. So I was just wondering, could this skin condition possibly be? Thank you.
What do you think?
Well, if the only thing that's confusing me is that if he's keeping his head shaved, apparently that's alleviating it. It sounds like just pretty standard barber's itch.
Okay, well, what is that?
Well, that's either infected sebaceous glands, or if you shave improperly, if you shave against the grain, or if you overshave, then you'll get the hair coming in beneath the skin surface, and that causes ingrown hairs.
Okay,
but that doesn't sound like that's what's happening.
Okay.
But
what about a fungus?
I guess it's possible, but I deal with funguses so rarely that I pretty much can't pull that out of my ass and talk about it.
There is a fungus called Tinea capitis.
Yeah.
And it's basically grows on the scalp, around the hair follicles, and it does cause burning and itching and that kind of stuff. And you can diagnose it a couple of ways. One, the best way is to take a scraping of the skin and look at it under the microscope with a solution of a strong base like potassium hydroxide. And what that does is it dissolves the skin cells but leaves the yeast cells intact.
Oh.
And then you look at it under the microscope, you see a bunch of yeast or fungal, what are called hyphae, which is a fungal growth pattern. It looks like trees, tree branches.
It looks like what it would sound like, hyphae.
So, that's exactly
right. Yeah, it looks like
what they would sound
that's
like.
That's right.
You see it, that's what it looks like.
Well, you just demonstrated exactly why when I see that sort of thing, my advice is go and see a doctor.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, there's another guy that called in about a similar thing, and I think this guy for sure illustrates the problem pretty clearly.
Hey, Dr. Steve, it's Steve. Just wondering, I got a bad scalp condition here. I think I emailed you or texted or something there. I went to the doctor. Of course, we live in a small town, and they want to, I'm a truck driver. I can't get home very often, and she said it was like a fungus because I'd been trying all the other stuff. I was just wondering what in the hell I could use to get rid of this on my head. There's holes in my scalp practically from digging at it so much. Man, it itches and burns. I didn't know if there was some kind of topical thing I could use on it to cure it or not. I would just really need your help if you could. All right. I guess if not, I'll have to go to the big city and get some medicine for my head. All right. Thanks, Dr. Steve. Bye.
He's right. That's what he's going to have to do. Most of the stuff over the counter isn't worth anything for scalp fungus. And this is more easily treated from the inside out rather than from the outside in. Topical stuff doesn't work real well for that, so a lot of dermatologists will give you a pill for that, although there are some things that you can use for certain fungi like Selsun Blue. And I mean, that's one he could try. But there's most of the stuff that's really grown in pretty heavy is not going to respond to Selsun Blue. No. So I would see a dermatologist and let them treat it. They'll look at it under a black light, and then they'll do the scrapings, and they'll look at that under the microscope and try to make a good diagnosis. Sometimes you have to actually make a culture. Yeah. And culture it out and see it, just in case you've got some weird bug growing. Mm-hmm. So,
just from a comfort standpoint, while he's waiting for the fungicide, I would do cooler water when you're washing your hair. Just keep everything clean and moisturized.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I looked up the bleeding between the bone and the periosteum.
Yes.
Periostitis.
Oh, nice.
But I don't know exactly what would cause that unless you just hit it real hard.
It's like if you hit your shin with a hammer.
Yeah. They have a description on here, hitting it on the coffee table.
Yep.
And then it forms more or less like a bone bruising.
Right.
And then you have that bleeding that just causes the periosteum to lift off of the bone.
Right. And then people don't realize that all these tissues have linings. You know, we've talked about the lining inside the colon, that you've got a elastic fibrous inner lining and then sort of a less elastic fibrous outer lining. And then when the outer lining splits, the inner lining can bloop out and you get a diverticulum. When you bruise the bone, you can get bleeding between the actual bone tissue and that lining. Same thing with cartilage, stuff like that. So, you know, the body kind of has this pattern that when it makes a structure, it likes to cover it up with stuff, with like fondant on a Cake Boss cake.
Right.
So, and for the same reason too. You know, if you just had cake out there, it's just going to crumble and fall apart. But if you put fondant over it, it holds it together and it's nice and tasty for several days. So there you go.
Gotcha.
All right. Fuck all y'all.
I like
it. Hey guys, have a problem with a yeast infection. I guess Jock Itch went to the doctor. He said, yeah. And he put me on Diflucan and ketoconazole, if they say those. And it's about the size of, say, half the size of a dollar bill on each side of my nut sack. And kind of spread to other areas and around my ass. Now the thing has started to bleed and it hurts like hell. And I'm going to go back, but I'm just curious what I can do in the meantime, or
okay.
Ketoconazole
and Diflucan. So he's on two different. He's on an anti-yeast and an antifungal agent, and it's getting worse. And now it's bleeding. So I don't think this is a fungus. That's my theory. I could be wrong. Rashes are the hardest thing to diagnose over the radio, but almost any yeast or fungus would get better with the regimen that he's on. And not only that, I mean, he's on. It's so powerful that you got to check liver enzymes and stuff like that on people who are on these medications because they can irritate your liver. And I was on ketoconazole and had to take liver function tests every 4 weeks while I was on it. So, and I likes to drink, so you got to be careful with that stuff. Anyway, I wonder if this isn't that thing that we talked about before, and I'll give $1 to anybody who remembers the name of the thing, the jock itch that you get that isn't caused by yeast.
Erythrasma.
Oh, shit. I owe Double Vasectomy Todd $1.
Very nice.
That's right.
All
right.
Erythrasma. And erythrasma is a okay, you want double or nothing?
All right.
What's the bacteria that causes erythrasma?
Oh, you just got it back.
I owe you nothing.
That's
Thank
right.
you, Seth.
Nothing at all. Had to gamble though.
Corynebacterium, and its hallmark is when you look at it under black light, it glows a beautiful salmon color. So this one thing this guy could do is get a black light out. If his kid has one, or if he has one at the house, just look at it under black light, and if he's got salmon-colored nutsack, then, and it's unmistakable. It's just a beautiful fluorescent orange. Then he may have erythrasma, but he's got to go back to the doctor and say, look, this stuff isn't working. And I think it'd be fine if he said, I was reading on the internet or I heard on the internet about this stuff called erythrasma. What do you think? Do you think that could be it? I think at least take a culture or look at the soupiness under the microscope, see if there's a ton of bacteria.
Hey, I was listening to the radio, and this guy's way smarter than you.
Yeah. You doing okay over there, Jefferson?
I'm awake.
You're awful quiet.
I'm listening and taking it all in.
When we were at the beach...
What can he do? What can the dude do until he sees a doctor? He says he's going back. My recommendation would be, let's just say that it is really a bad case of regular yeast infection.
Yeah.
Lay down, spread your legs apart, and put a fan between your ass cheeks and dry it out.
Yeah.
That would be my recommendation. That's the only thing I could think of until somebody else looks at it.
Ice pack and stop scratching it? Is that what's causing the bleeding?
Maybe, but definitely try and dry it out a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what my thought would be.
And when I had jock itch before and it got kind of soupy, I just took rolls of gauze and basically I wear jockey shorts, so I just shoved it into the crack where my leg is. I don't know how to explain it, where your nuts are. And on either side of that, there's an opening, and you can kind of cram gauze in there so that it's in your inguinal region, or your grinds, as they call them down here, your groin, and just kind of soak up the soupiness.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know much about rashes, but if I were drying something up, I would think, as a barber, I would think talcum and powders and things like that. Is that a bad idea on this?
I don't know. It's not bad. It just go kind of cake up, and it may irritate things worse.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the thing.
I'd lay down, put a fan between my legs, and spread them.
Yep. Okay.
Jerk off while you're fanning it out.
Yeah, might as well.
What else you got to do?
Exactly. What are you doing? I'm drying my balls off. Leave me alone.
Doctor's orders.
That's right.
Hey, Dr. Steve, it's Jeff. I'm just curious. I read there's a home remedy for toenail fungus. My left toe, big toe on my left foot, of course, had fungi, and I heard a home remedy, Vicks Vapor Rub. Would that work, or would I just need to go see someone to look at my toe? Thank you very much, Steve. Later.
Okay. At first, I thought this was malarkey. This was another one of those home remedies like oregano oil or one of those. But as I am wont to do, I didn't want to say that it was malarkey without looking it up, because normally what I'll do is I'll look stuff up and then there's nothing in the medical literature whatsoever, and I'll say, well, at least I can say there's no data to support this cockamamie theory. Mm-hmm. And that usually doesn't piss people off as much as just saying, well, you're full of shit. But their beloved, treatment, alternative treatment. So I looked this one up, and I'll be damned, but there is a study, and it's not a bad study, but it's not a great study. But there were, they took 18 people and treated them for 48 months. I'm sorry, wrong. 48 weeks.
I was going to say, holy
shit. That's stupid.
4 years later.
For 48 weeks with Vicks Vapor Rub. Mm-hmm. And 86% of the people reported a positive effect, and there was a certain number that showed complete mycological cure. In other words, there was no trace of fungus left.
Wow.
And in addition to that, all of the people in the study reported good results. Now, this was not a double-blind, placebo-controlled study. This is just a pilot study. But it tells me there's at least some positive data out there, which is better than nothing at all.
Yeah, right.
And it was done in a respectable journal by respectable people. So, pretty interesting.
Was it smothering it out?
Yeah, the petroleum may be able to soak through the nail, and then the eucalyptus and menthol would just kill the hell out of the fungus.
Yeah.
The trick with killing toenail fungus is to get the nail to be completely inculcated with the medication that you're trying to kill the fungus with. And that's the theory behind those pills that you take for 12 weeks. I took them. And you take the pill for 12 weeks, and it gets in your bloodstream, goes to every cell in your body just to kill something on your toe. But what happens is the medication is incorporated into the toenail by the nail bed, right?
Yeah, right.
And then as the toenail grows out, it just kills the fungus as it goes.
Yeah.
And it'll take about a year, but for that toenail to completely grow out, and then when you'll clip the last little bit off, and all the toenail fungus is gone. So presumably, if this really works, that's what it's doing. Here's the problem with it: you cannot do it for a week or two and hope it's going to do any good. You have to do it for the full 48 weeks, which means you got to do it for about a year, putting it on once a day.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Crap. I'm just, I thought the call screening software wasn't working, but we've got several calls who have been on hold for a while. We've got 6 minutes left, so let's pick them up, see what's going on. 920 area code. You're on Weird Medicine.
Hey, Spider Trucker. This last weekend, I got a severe sunburn. Or not, I guess it wasn't a severe sunburn, it was a sunburn. But on Tuesday, last night, Monday, it suddenly went into a severe pain that felt like fire ants sticking me all over the back. And I mean, it was absolutely unbearable. I almost went to emergency.
Okay.
It lasted for about 2 hours. And it kind of subsided. I got some Solarcaine and some emergency burn gel and put that on there and alternated Advil and Tylenol. But it's never happened before, and I've never felt pain like that before.
How's the pain now? Is it completely gone?
No, it's still twingy, and when the pain started, it started all of a sudden and all at once all over my back.
Okay.
I am very hairy, so I think it probably had something to do. I was thinking maybe I got hypersensitive all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When you look at it, is it crazy red or what's going on?
Well, from what I can see, because I can't see my back,
right.
It was lightly pink. It wasn't real bad at all. I actually took a hot shower. I was out in the sun and shade for about 3 hours, and I took a hot shower afterwards, and it didn't bother me at all. So it kind of threw me that this pain all of a sudden, and it wasn't a typical pain I felt before.
Okay.
I mean, it literally was not like needle stabbing me, like burns all over my back.
Okay. And are you on any weird medications or any medication at all?
I'm on venlafaxine, metformin, and I'm taking a whole bunch of vitamins.
Okay. There are some medications that can cause sensitization of the skin. Bactrim, which is an antibiotic, is one of the classic ones. I don't know if any of those, if the venlafaxine could be doing it. That's an antidepressant. Not impossible. There are some people who get a delayed, what's called hypersensitivity reaction to the sun as well, and it's kind of an allergic reaction where the body starts attacking the damaged skin from this first degree burn, which is basically what sunburn is. Unless you blister, then it's a second degree burn. The third thing is you may have something going on with the hair follicles on your back too. You've got damaged skin, and damaged skin is more prone to getting an infection. So it's not impossible that you could have a fungal infection going on. I'm sort of going with the sun poisoning idea. And there isn't much you can do about it now other than to, keep it cool, get in a cool bath. And if the pain keeps up, go see your doctor. They may even put you on corticosteroids or something like that. You guys got anything for him on this one?
That's about it. Put sunscreen on before you go out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the, I'm just looking here, yeah, it's antibiotics. Antidepressants are listed here as sun sensitizing medications. So it may be that you haven't been burned since you started the venlafaxine, but what you got to do, dude, it's prevention is the key from now on. You're on a medication that may be sensitizing you. You just got to wear sunscreen now. Hard to do when you're by yourself and you've got your back exposed. So this is what I'm going to recommend to you from now on. They sell UVB UVA blocking shirts. They're called swim shirts, and it's a real sheer material, and you can wear those. And that's what I wear when I go to the beach, because I hate slathering that crap on my back, and you just get it all messed up, or having my wife do it. I don't like people touching my back anyway, and it's hairy and gross, and and it's a lot of surface area to cover up. Mm-hmm. So I would highly recommend that you do that from now on, because this probably is going to happen again if you get burned.
Okay.
That's all I got for you, dude. Sorry, no, they can't all be gems.
Thanks.
Okay, buddy.
Yep.
All right.
That was good.
Let's see here. We got one in the screening queue. Some people are like stuck in the screening.
1 minute and 50 seconds left.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
Hey, yeah, man. Hey, we got 1 minute. What's up?
Hey. All right, this is Doug in Virginia, real quick. I've been on the road selling, and I've been jerking off a lot. The other day, jerked off on my iPad, right?
Yes.
And it looked like, I swear to God, it looked like there were semicircular, like giant baby shrimp-sized sperm in the load. Talk to me about that, please.
Number one, have you ever seen the movie Eraserhead?
Yeah.
So in that one, this guy's pulling giant sperm cells out of his wife after having intercourse. So that may be what's going on. I think what it is the little pixels on the iPad may actually be
magnifying.
Thank you, magnifying the sperm cells. Thank you.
I love it.
And that you're actually seeing magnified sperm cells. That would be a great experiment for our friends at Mad Scientist Party Hour to do, or for us to do. We could use my wife's iPad. Who's going to jerk off on it?
I'll be the control, because I don't have any.
All right, dude. I have no idea, but that's a hilarious story. Thank you for calling.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Hell, we're out of time. I have no idea. He tweeted me, and I said, "You've got to call in."
That's brilliant.
Is your dick bigger, or did you just buy an apple?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Jerk out.
Thanks. Always go to PA John, Double Vasectomy Todd, Jefferson the Lawyer, GVAC, and Ashley. We can't forget Eric Nagel and Opie and Anthony and Ron and Fez, whose steadfast support of the show never goes unappreciated. Until next time, check your stupid nuts for lumps, quit smoking, get off your asses, get some exercise. We'll see you in 1 week for the next edition of Weird Medicine.
Comfortably
Weird Medicine. This has been Weird Medicine with Dr. Steve. Weird Medicine. Got questions for him? Visit him at drsteve.com or call 347-766-4323. That's 347-POOHEAD. Our real phone number, chosen by a grown man in the medical profession. Sirius XM.